Hi everybody, my name's Luisa. Welcome to my channel. I hope everybody's doing well. There's nothing I love more than the beautiful vivid skies of a sunrise or a sunset. If you're an artist or a jewelry maker, you can appreciate those skies. You have beautiful violets, blues, oranges, fuchsias, but today we're going to focus primarily on two gorgeous colors that came in the Sam's Bead box for the month of February, and I'm referring to the colors of Carnelian and Amethyst and a few crystals thrown in. We're going to jump into the tutorial in a few moments. I just want to remind you of a couple of things. I always leave a list of all the materials down below in the description section of this video, okay? Because I know some of you don't subscribe to the boxes and perhaps you want to make the project and you don't have the beads. So I'll leave a list of all the beads and all the sizes and everything down below, okay? And if you're not familiar with Sam's Bead box, I'll leave a link to the website down below as well so you can go check it out. Obviously, the February box is probably sold out, but he may have some items available on the website if you go and look. But anyway, go to the website, check it out, because you can sign up for the March box. It's not too late, okay? And if you didn't see the unboxing for the February box, I'll leave that link down below so you can go check it out. The other thing that I like to do is to leave timestamps down below, so if you want to skip forward to any portion of the video, you can certainly do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please think about doing so because it helps me, it helps my channel, and it helps me to stay motivated to create more content for you. I give my design ideas away. These are free tutorials, so the only thing I ask in return is for you to subscribe to my channel. So anyway, guys, I'm very anxious to jump into the tutorial, so let's go ahead, turn the camera around, and we'll get started. Here's the box. As you can see, it's the February box, and the name of the box is Dawn Dusk. Let's go ahead and pick the beads. So what inspired the necklace was actually this gorgeous Sunburst Czech bead that you see right here. Let me pull it out. As you can see, it has a gorgeous red Picasso finish on a green base. The design has a copper wash on it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love this bead. It's 22 millimeters in size. And when I saw this bead, I knew I had to use it as a focal. And believe me, I resisted. I was trying to use other beads instead because I figured everybody would use this one. But in the end, I decided to go ahead and use it because I just couldn't resist it. Now from this Czech specialty bag, we're also going to use a couple of other beads. We're actually going to use two of these gorgeous free-form table cut coin beads in this gorgeous tanzanite color. And these are 14.5 millimeters in size. We're also going to use these beautiful faceted fire polished beads. These are 8 millimeters in size. Let me pull them out. I think we're only going to use two actually. Aren't these pretty, guys? I love these. I love the color. It reminds me of fruit. Somebody said that they look like pomegranate, and I agree. Anyway, the color is pink tourmaline, and they coordinate really well with the red in this gorgeous coin bead. We're also going to use some of these hishi beads, these Czech glass fire polished hishi beads. I don't know how many we're going to use, but I'll just pull out a bunch. I absolutely adore this color, and I love the name Creme Brulee. And these are 6 by 3 millimeters in size. We're going to definitely use these amethyst rounds. These are the Chevron Amethyst rounds. And again, I don't know exactly how many we're going to use just yet, okay? I'm still kind of figuring it out in my head. But once I pull the beads off and put them on the mat, we'll figure it out. We're going to use these gorgeous Indian cut Carnelian gradient rectangle beads. They're 4 by 7 millimeters in size, and I love this strand, guys. This is such a gorgeous strand. As you can see, I did pull some of them out because I was playing with them earlier, but look how beautiful these are. I love this color. It's so gorgeous. I think I'm going to use these for the strands of the necklace. So again, I don't know how many I'm going to need, so I'll just pull them all out. We're definitely using these. These are the 7 by 11 millimeter faceted rondelles. The color is lavender amethyst luster, and they certainly do have a gorgeous luster, as you can see. And I think that's it from this box. We're going to be using some spacer beads. These are in a copper color, and I think these are 4 millimeters in size. The shape is kind of squarish, but they have rounded corners. But you could use any kind of metal bead as long as it's 4 millimeters in size and copper colored. I'm also going to be using some of these, and I came across these recently, and they come in so handy because it saves you from having to use jump rings when hanging dangles or charms. Let me show you what they look like. As you can see, they're spacer beads with loops on them, okay? So we're going to be using a bunch of these to hang the dangles on today's necklace. By the way, I got these on Amazon, and they're 6.5 millimeters in dimension, not including the loop. As you can see, I have all my beads laid out, and I'm ready to go. So anyway, like I said before, this is the bead that inspired the necklace, okay? And it has a little bit of red in it, which is why I decided to use these two red beads here, okay? I may use more than two, but I have this vision in my head of what I'm going to do. So I've already played with these a little bit and I have some idea of what I'm going to do. And basically what I'm going to do is have this one in the center with some dangles and then some beads on the top. And then I'm going to finish the necklace with these carnelian beads, okay? I'm going to use these for the strands, and I'm also going to use some chain at the top by the clasp. So basically what I was thinking about doing is having the purple in the middle, okay, with these as little accents and the copper beads as accents as well. And since I like these so much, I was going to have these in the middle like this, above this bead. So it's going to look something like this, okay? And I don't know if I should use 4 or 6. And the reason I'm going with even numbers is because I want to hang this from the middle, okay? And I'm going to use these spacer beads to hang my dangles and my pendant, okay? So basically it's going to sit in between these two beads here like this, okay? And then I also wanted to use some amethyst beads there and also down below where the dangles are going to be, okay? So instead of spending a huge amount of time rearranging everything and playing with everything, I'm going to speed up the film so you get to see my process a little bit. And then when I come up with some kind of design, I'll come back to you and we'll talk about it. So let me go ahead and speed up the film and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I've arranged some idea of what I'm going to do, okay? But I need to put all of these on a rod, one of my magic rods, to see how everything sits up against each other. So let me go get a rod, and here it is. If you're not familiar with these, they're called magic rods. I do carry them in my Etsy store, and I use these to arrange bead patterns. And the reason I like to use these is because I'm able to put all kinds of beads up against each other, all kinds of spaces, bead caps, seed beads, all sizes, all shapes. And then these little stoppers on each end hold everything together, and I'm able to get an accurate measurement. But if you don't have one of these guys, it's okay. You can use your mat, okay? Or you can use a beading board. It's up to you. But anyway, I'll leave a link down below if you're interested, okay? Let me go ahead and arrange these beads. So to arrange the beads, what you do is you remove the stopper, okay? It's important that you make sure you have the stoppers on the ends so you don't lose the beads. And I'm simply going to load from this end, okay? And you can actually load from both ends, you know, when you're arranging things. Sometimes I do that. But since I've already arranged it here and I have some idea of what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and just load them like this from this end, okay? And these amethyst beads are really, it's hard to find the hole on these because they're kind of dark. So I'm going to have 2 of these, and the reason I'm having 2 of these rondelles is because of this pendant or this bead. This bead is rather large, so I want the spacing to be a little bit different, okay? So then comes the spacer bead, and then comes 2 more of these rondelles. Okay, let me keep loading this end. Okay, so here I've loaded everything, as you can see, okay? Let me move these beads up. So this is how they're going to look up against each other. And what I'm looking at here is the spacing between these dangles. I want to make sure there's enough spacing, and I think there is. I think there's enough spacing. I don't want them hanging any further apart than this, okay, because I want the necklace to be kind of on the dainty side. And it looks like I'm missing a spacer bead here, so let me go ahead and put my stopper on this end. And now I'm going to flip it over. Remove this stopper. Slide this bead off. Put a spacer. Put the bead back on. And put my stopper back on. Let me bring everything together. Okay. So this is what I was thinking about, guys, okay? And I think that looks really cute. I think it's going to look really nice, and I'm pretty sure the spacing is going to be okay. So anyway, guys, this is what I was thinking about, okay? We have the beautiful sunburst bead in the middle, and then we have these dangles, okay? We have 3 on this side and 3 on this side, and then this bead's going to have some beads dangling down as well, okay? Each one of these dangles is going to hang from one of these spaces with loops on them. I've got the 2 beautiful pink tourmaline colored beads on each end, okay, which picks up the red from the bead. So I'm going to thread this on beading wire, and this is going to be in the middle. And then I'm going to continue the strands with the carnelian beads and these spacer beads, okay? These are spacer beads without loops. And I'm thinking of grouping them in sets of 3 like this with a spacer bead in between, okay? And the reason I'm not putting these on the rods is because they actually don't fit. Some of them do, but some of them don't. Some of the holes on these are very tiny, guys, okay? I'll just warn you. So if you're going to use these in your designs and you're thinking about using wire, you're going to have to use something that's pretty thin, okay? That's very common with gemstones. You know, sometimes you get gemstones that have holes that are very small. So anyway, guys, this is what I was thinking about for the strands, having them in sets of 3 like this, okay? And I don't know how many sets I'm going to need just yet. I'll have to figure it out later on once I get going. But before we thread anything on beading wire, what I'm going to do is create these dangles. So let me go get some wire. I'm not very picky on wire, guys, okay? This is by Bead Smith. It's 22 gauge. And the reason I chose this one is because of the color. It's antique copper, okay? I don't really have a preference for brands, honestly. As long as it's tarnish resistant and the right color, that's all I care about. And since we're doing wrap loops, you're going to need to cut yourself pieces that are no less than 2.5 inches long, okay? Especially if you're a beginner. If you're advanced, you could probably get away with less. And these tiny beads are going to hang on head pins, okay? Okay, I have my wire cut, as you can see. Now for this one here, since this one's such a large bead, I'm going to need a slightly bigger piece. So I've cut myself a 3.5 inch piece for this bead here. Let me go ahead and offload these beads because I need access to these spaces with loops. I'm going to start by threading this bead onto some wire. So I'm going to grab the wire at about 1.5 inches down, like this. Kink it so you have a 90-degree angle, okay? Switch to this portion of the wire now, and you need to decide where on your pliers you want to be because that's going to determine the size of your loop, okay? I want my loops to be medium size, so on my pliers I know I need to be somewhere in the middle, okay? But yours may be different depending on the brand of plier, okay? But once you've decided where you want to be and how big you want your loop to be, you're going to go ahead and wrap the tail around the nose of your pliers like this, okay? Flip your pliers around and continue to wrap that tail towards the back like this. Remove the pliers. I'm going to go ahead and open up my loop a little bit because now I need to slide my spacer bead inside that loop, okay? So let me go ahead and grab it, slide it in like this, okay? Now everybody does wrap loops differently, but I like to use these pliers to grab my loop, just like that. And the reason I use them is because they have a skinny tip. And these are actually crimping pliers, but I use just the tip to grab my loops because they grab really well for some reason. And now with another set of pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and I'm going to do a couple of wraps. And I don't like a lot of wires showing, so I'm only doing 2 wraps, but if you want to do more than 2 wraps, it's completely up to you, okay? Once you've got your wraps done, you're going to cut off the excess. So you want to come in really close with the flush side of your cutters, okay? Come in really close like this and snip it off. And now you want to tuck the little end in so you don't have anything sticking out, okay? Let's go ahead and thread the bead on like this. And now we're going to form a loop on this end. So once again, you want to grab the wire and you want to grab it at the top of the bead like this, okay? Turn your other loop so it's lined up, okay? And then kink it. Switch to this portion of the wire now, okay, like this. Wrap the tail around like this. Flip your pliers around and continue to wrap to the back like this. Okay, and now we're going to close this loop with some wraps. Grab the loop with some skinny pliers. Grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck the little end in. And you do want to line up the loops so they're facing the same direction, okay? And this is what you should have. Okay, that's really cute. And it's going to go right in the middle here. Let's go ahead and connect these other 2 beads now. So once again, you want to get a piece of wire. Grab the wire at about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches down. Kink it like this. switch like this, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers like this, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap the tail to the back like this, remove your pliers, open up that loop a little bit, okay, and then go ahead and connect it to this loop like this. Grab the loop with your skinny pliers and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck the little end in. Thread the bead on like this. And now grab the wire at the top of the bead like this. Turn the bottom loop so it's lined up. Kink it like this. Switch. Wrap the tail around like this. Flip your pliers around and continue to wrap that tail to the back like this. Remove your pliers. Grab the loop with your skinny pliers and grab that tail with another set and do a couple of wraps. And now snip off the excess. Tuck the little end in. And this is what we have so far. Really cute. Now for this little guy, we're just going to use a head pin, okay? So same thing, guys. Thread it on like this. Grab the wire at the top of the bead. Kink it like this. Switch. Wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers. Flip the pliers around. Continue to wrap to the back like this. Open the loop a little bit. Slide it into this one like this. Grab the loop and finish it off with a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. And this is what we have so far. Isn't that adorable? I love it. It's so cute. Now the only drawback with wrap loops is that you're going to see a lot more of the wire, obviously, and it's going to hang lower, okay? If you were to do simple loops, they wouldn't hang as low, okay? And that's one of the reasons I like to do simple loops. But because this project has dangles, I wanted them to be a little bit more secure, and it's more secure to do wrap loops. So anyway, let's go ahead and build the next dangle. So the next dangle is going to have the amethyst bead, the rondelle, and this creme brulee colored bead. And then the following dangle is going to look like that. Let me put this one over here. And then we're going to have another little dangle over here with just this one here, okay, the hishi bead. Let's go ahead and build this one now. So once again, we grab a piece of wire, grab it with your round nose pliers, kink it, switch, wrap the tail around the barrel of your pliers, flip your pliers around, continue to wrap to the back like this. Remove your pliers, open up the little loop a little bit, insert it into the loop of the spacer bead like this. And now we're going to do a couple of wraps. And now cut off the excess. Tuck the little end in, thread on the amethyst bead like this, grab the wire at the top of the bead line up the bottom loop, kink it, switch, wrap the tail around the pliers, flip your pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, like this. Grab the loop, and now do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck the little tail in. So this is what we have so far, okay? And now we're going to connect this bead. So it's the same thing, guys, okay? It's very repetitive. But I'm going to show you for a few seconds and then I'm going to speed up the film so we don't end up being here all day, okay? Cut off the excess, tuck the little end in, thread the bead on like this, grab the wire at the top of the bead, line up the bottom loop, kink it, switch, wrap the tail around, flip your pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. Tuck the little end in. And here's a head pin. I'm going to attach this bead like this. Grab the wire at the top of the bead, kink it, switch, wrap the wire around, flip the pliers around and continue to wrap that tail to the back. Connect it to this loop now, like this. Grab the loop and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. And we have this one done now, okay? So this is the second dangle. Now I'm going to build this one here. So now we have this little dangle, okay? Let me clean up my workspace a little bit. I don't like to have all this wire around because it's very distracting. And now we're going to create one more dangle, this little one here, with just the Hishi bead, okay? It's going to be a very small one. And it should hang okay because of this spacer bead with a loop, okay? And guys, if you're using jump rings instead of these spacers with loops, you definitely want to make sure your jump rings are closed really well, okay? And you definitely should do wrap loops and not simple loops because they're a little bit more secure, okay? So let's go ahead and slip this one through like this. And now we're going to do a wrap loop. And now cut off the excess and tuck it in. All right, so I'm going to continue to build the dangles to the left of this pendant. I'm going to speed up the film and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I have all my components built and I'm ready to thread things on. I made a little change. Initially, I was going to add some chain at the top, but I love these carnelian beads so much that I think I'm just going to eliminate the chain and just do all carnelian all the way to the clasp. I am going to use these 2 accent beads though, because I think they look really cute and I think it ties in with the purple down below. So let's go ahead and get some beading wire. I have some 49 strand beading wire by Bead Selection. It's in a gold color, as you can see, okay? And it's 0.018 of an inch. So it's kind of like a medium thickness. And what I like about Bead Selection is that it recommends the type of crimp tube to use, and it recommends a size 2. So it tells you exactly what size crimp tube to use. So that's nice. So let's go ahead and cut a piece. I'm going to cut a piece that's about, I'm going to say 22 inches just to be on the safe side. It all depends on how long you want your necklace, okay? But whatever you decide, you want to make sure you give yourself at least 2 inches at each end of the wire to do the crimping. I have an office clip here that I'm going to use to put at the end of the beading wire so I don't lose my beads. If you have a bead stopper, that's even better. And I'm going to start by threading the focal part only. Okay, I'm not going to thread the strands just yet. So let me go ahead and thread these beads. So I have the red bead threaded on and now a little dangle, the smallest one. And now an amethyst bead. And the next dangle. Another amethyst bead. The next dangle, the rondelle, another rondelle, the pendant. Let me show you what we have so far. Okay, that looks adorable. I love it. So let me continue. The rondelle, another rondelle, the next dangle, amethyst, dangle, amethyst, dangle, red bead, and this is what we have so far. Don't you love it? And it looks like the spacing is pretty good. I'm really happy with the spacing, okay? I was a little worried about it, but it looks really great. So now let me go ahead and continue with the carnelian beads now. So we've got a copper spacer, and then 3 carnelian beads, another copper spacer, and another set of carnelian beads, a copper spacer. So this is what it looks like, and I think it's adorable. And now I'm going to add this table cut bead, just like that, and another copper spacer. Okay, let me put a clip on, and now I'm going to do this side. So this is what we have so far, okay? I love that. Oh my gosh, this necklace is so cute. So now what I'm going to do is continue the same carnelian pattern until I reach the desired length. And then I'm going to go to the mirror, hold it up, and see if I have the correct length, and I'll come back and meet you. So let me speed up the film. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I added some more beads and I did measure it. It measures about 16 inches, believe it or not. But because these dangles hang so low, that's perfectly fine with me. Okay, now if you want something longer, obviously you're going to have to add more beads. It's totally up to you. But I like this length for myself, so I'm going to go ahead and get the crimps and we're going to finish it off. Here's a couple of crimp tubes. I have some crimp tube covers and I have my wire guards. Let me go ahead and remove this clip. Thread on the crimp tube like this, and now let's go ahead and thread on a wire guard. You go in one end like this, slide it down, take the tail and go in through the other end, like this. Take the tail and thread it through the crimp bead or the crimp tube like this. Slide everything down and take out the slack. And then I always close these little legs up like this, gently. Take out any slack because you want that beading wire to sit right inside that little channel there, okay? Make sure your beading wire is separated, okay, and it's not crossed inside that crimp tube. Take your crimping pliers now, and you're going to use the first notch, which creates the little V shape. Place your crimp tube inside that notch. And before you crimp down, separate your wire and pull it to make sure you take out any slack from that little channel there. And then go ahead and crimp down like this. Turn it on its side. And you're going to fold it over now using one of the 3 channels, okay? I usually use the one in the middle, which is the medium one. And that folds it over. And this is what you should have, okay? And you can tighten it a little bit more by using the tip of your pliers, just like that. And now we want to snip off the tail. So I'm going to come in really close, just like that, okay? And now let's go ahead and slip on the crimp cover, like this. I use these crimping pliers to close up my covers, okay? But you do have to be careful. You don't want to dent the metal, okay? So take your time and do it slowly. And I always go in from all angles to try to get a nice round shape. Just like that, okay? So now let's slide everything down. You want to make sure there are no spaces, but you don't want it too tight, okay? You want it to have some freedom of movement, okay? You want it to be fluid. So let me go ahead and do this side. I'm going to speed up the film and I'll meet you back. I haven't crimped it yet. I wanted to show you this part, okay? Sometimes it's really hard to get really close to the beads at this end, okay? But one way to do it, guys, is to hold onto your guard like this and just pull the tail gently, okay, until you get everything down to where the beads are, because you don't want any space there, okay? But like I said, you don't want it tight either. And it's the same thing, guys. Just close up the little legs a little bit like this. Separate your beading wire inside. It's a little difficult to tell because it's hidden inside the crimp tube. Check out your beads one more time before you crimp down. Make sure you don't have any spaces. As you can see, I'm holding onto the tail with my index finger and my thumb, and I'm holding the rest of the strand with these fingers, okay? And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to prevent that beading wire from crossing inside there. And now we're going to place the crimp tube inside the first notch, just like before. Pull on the tail before you crimp down, and then go ahead and crimp down. And now turn it on its side and fold the crimp bead over. And tighten it up a little bit if you need to. And now snip off the excess. Slide on the crimp bead cover and close it up. And this end is done now. So now all we have to do is attach the clasp. Here's my clasp, and here are my 2 jump rings. Let's go ahead and open up this jump ring. Attach this end and the clasp and close it up. And now let's go ahead and open up this jump ring. Attach it to this end and close it up. And this necklace is finished. And look how beautiful it looks, guys. It's so pretty. Let me go ahead and arrange it this way. I'm so glad that I added the carnelian at the top. I was going to do chain, but then when I saw how beautiful these beads were, I just couldn't resist. As you can see, I have 2 sets of 3 down below this table cut and 4 sets of 3 above it. So if you wanted something longer, you could add more sets, okay? Or you could add chain, it's up to you. But like I said, this one measures about 16, maybe a little bit more because of the clasp and the jump rings, okay? But because it has these dangles and they hang kind of low, I like it like that. So anyway, let me go ahead and put it on and I'll show you what it looks like. Tell me this necklace isn't gorgeous. I know I'm bragging. I don't mean to brag, but I love this necklace, and I don't give myself credit. I give Sam and his sister Rachel the credit for picking the palette. They're the ones who picked the beads and everything, okay? I could never have picked these colors on my own, I'll be honest, okay? It's so much easier when somebody else does it for you. It really is. So anyway, guys, I hope you like this necklace. As you can see, even though it's a statement necklace, it's a little on the dainty side in my opinion, okay? Maybe it's because of the size of the beads, I don't know, but I would definitely wear this during the daytime, okay? Not just to evening events. And these are definitely my colors. I love these colors. I hope you do too, and I hope you can make your own necklace if you have the beads. And like I said, if you don't have the beads, I've left a list of all the materials down below, so if you want to do a Google search, hopefully you can find them. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.